So then Trump said this, guys. So first it was the Epstein hoax, which is also a national security concern, but it's also a hoax. And then now, what about the affordability crisis?
I mean, these are the facts we have to get out. And, there's this fake narrative that the Democrats talk about, affordability. They just say the word. It doesn't mean anything to anybody. You just say it. Affordability. I inherited the worst inflation in history. There was no affordability. Nobody could afford anything. The prices were massively high. Do you remember when we took over eggs? You did a great job on that, Madam Secretary. Agriculture, Brooke. Eggs were 4 or 5 times higher than they had ever been. They said, don't order eggs for Easter at the White House. And we ended up doing it, and we got the egg prices way down, lower than what they were before. But the word affordability is a con job by the Democrats. They say affordable. I watched the other day where some very low IQ congresswoman talked about affordability. She had no idea. Their prices were much higher.
Pardon my French, but President Trump, what the fuck are you talking about? Folks, this is so lazy. I'm sorry. This is just, it's such a joke, man. I'm not going to sit here and be insulted. Oh, the Epstein files, it's a Democrat hoax. What? And then people are like, oh yeah, it's a Democrat hoax. But we can't release them because it's national security. And yeah, Bongino and Puntel and Trump and Bondi all talked about how big a deal it is. And now it's a foreign spy blackmail racket. And they all ran on that. But now it's a hoax, and it's a Democrat hoax, and it doesn't exist, but it's also national security. People are still buying this crap. Now it's the affordability crisis is a Democrat hoax. How lazy of you, President Trump. How insulting of you. Are you really that disconnected, President Trump, to not understand the affordability crisis right now? I got videos coming up. We may have time to play them today. The affordability crisis is very real. Very real. And it's funny because he talks about it and then he says it's not real. So it's like he talks about, okay, we have to do 50-year mortgages because there's an affordability crisis. He talks about how we have to lower gas prices and lower egg prices because there's an affordability crisis. He talks about lowering grocery prices because there's an affordability crisis. He talks about lowering energy prices, drill baby drill, because there's an affordability crisis. And then he says, the affordability crisis is a Democrat hoax. Mr. President, you're laying out 5 different policies to try to address the affordability crisis, and then you come out and call it a hoax? What in the hell is going on here? What is this clown show? This is a damn clown show. The affordability crisis is worse than it's ever been, and it's compounded by the debt crisis. And it's compounded by the defaulting crisis. And everybody knows it. And you just say it's a Democrat hoax? Why? And part of me starts to wonder too, as I talk about this quite often, part of me starts to wonder if Trump let them steal the election so that the bad economy wouldn't reflect on him. Because folks, the truth is the bad economy started with COVID. It started with President Trump. President Trump let them shut down the economy. President Trump printed all the stimulus money, gave out all the aid money. That's what started the inflation, was the COVID policies. That's what Trump did that, folks. Now, again, I'm not saying that he was all to blame. Biden's policies are what really made it worse. Biden's policies are what really drove it. But it was going to be inevitable. It didn't have to be as bad as it was, but it was always going to be inevitable after what they did with COVID. I'm wondering if Trump knew that, and he said, I'll go ahead and let them steal this and step away so that I don't have to deal with the bad economy. And then when I come back in 4 years, I'll just blame it all on Biden. I'm starting to wonder if that's not how that went down. Same cabinet meeting. We go back to the same cabinet meeting. Trump says there is no affordability crisis. And then J.D. Vance says this.
Very clearly is that we are fixing the problem that Joe Biden and the Democrats created in the last administration. If you look at every affordability crisis that's confronting the American people today, it is traceable directly to a problem caused by Joe Biden and congressional Democrats. Why did homes get so unaffordable? Because we had 20 million illegal aliens in this country taking homes that ought by right to go to American citizens. Why did tax bills get so unaffordable? Because Democrats were raising taxes while congressional Republicans under the president's leadership we're now cutting taxes. Why did food get so expensive? Because we printed trillions of dollars and threw it into green scams that made our agricultural economy suffer while Americans were paying higher prices for food. Very clearly is that we are fixing.
So that's J.D. Vance talking about the affordability crisis that Trump says doesn't exist. Folks, what is going on with this clown show? Okay, what is going on with this absolute clown show that this administration is turning into fast? It's turning into a clown show fast. It's turning into a neocon communication failure clown show fast. And I look at J.D. Vance and I wonder what he's thinking right now. Because Vance clearly gets it. I think Vance is sharper than ever. I think Vance is more politically savvy and informed than ever. I think Vance is really up there absorbing like a sponge right now. And he's not really playing his hand. He's not really trying to make any moves per se. He's just kind of sitting back and absorbing and observing, but you can tell Vance is in touch with the American people more so, I think, than anybody else in this administration. I'm not sure there's a single member of this administration that is actually in touch with the American people, except J.D. Vance. And I don't mean to be catty about this, but I mean, I might say Kash Patel because, he does spend a lot of time at social events and with his girlfriend, who's a bit of a socialite herself. So it's like, okay, maybe Kash Patel, but that doesn't really matter. That's not what we're looking for from the FBI director. And I might say Dan Bongino, but I honestly don't know where Bongino is at these days. In fact, I kind of wonder about Bongino. I think Bongino is in a really rough place right now. I'm going to be honest. I see Bongino as in a real rough place. And this is somebody who was a very avid listener of Dan Bongino. And at many times I disagreed with Dan Bongino. But I was an avid listener. I think he was coming from his own heart. So I don't mind disagreeing with somebody that speaks from their own heart and their own mind. I rather like it. It sharpens my intellect. It challenges my ideas.